Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back first of all. So I'm sure that many of you are very interested in today's topic because I mean, hell, nowadays in the year 2019, about to be 2020, shouldn't girls make the first move, or should girls ask guys out on a date? Let's get into it. Well, first and foremost, guys, I just want to say that things are going pretty good. My most recent issues have been pretty much all wrapped up and taken care of. I removed myself from a certain situation in my life and everything, and things are a lot better now, you know what I mean? A lot of times, you know, things are hard, but you just have to make mental decisions and you just got to stick with them, and it's really as simple as that. Everything else just falls into place, but it all starts with a simple choice. Anyway, so guys, we live in the year 2019, all right? And more so now than ever before, women are doing extraordinary things. They're CEOs of companies, they're running for president. I mean, sheesh, how many of them do we have running now? More so than I think I can count, honestly. So with all that being said, them being the breadwinners and everything nowadays, should girls ask guys out, or should girls make the first move? In my opinion, I think so. Why not? I mean, it's not to say that they should make the first move and they should ask every single guy out that they're interested in every single time. It's not like, oh my God, it's the thing, like we need to change all social norms and it's now like the girl's job to ask the guy out and everything. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we should completely reverse the roles. Honestly, I think girls really should ask guys out because men nowadays, because our mindsets are evolving, a lot of guys nowadays are kind of expecting an equal relationship from a girl, like right off the bat, even if it's just like equal dating. You know how you don't just jump into a relationship nowadays? Well, I shouldn't say nowadays. There are plenty of people that just jump into relationships and wind up regretting it later on. Yeah. But anyway, traditionally, it's always the guy that takes the girl out, that both asks and takes the girl out on a date and then pays for everything, you know, whether it's dinner, movie, the entire, like whatever it is, renting out a venue, it really doesn't matter. It's always the guy that asks and takes the initiative and pays. Well, to be quite honest, like I can speak for myself and I can speak for a lot of other men today. You know, we're no longer really looking for a girl to just ask out. Like we want a girlfriend, like we want a potential wife, a great relationship, if you will, but we want more of an equal relationship. We don't want to be the sole provider or the sole person that's just doing all the work. Like we don't want a one-way street. So it's like, even when it comes to just regular and casual dating, to be quite honest with you, I can just say as a guy that if I take a girl out on a date, I might pay initially, like the first couple of times, but at some point I'm gonna kind of expect her to pay like the next time or maybe the next few times, depending, like, you know, not that you should totally keep score, but it should be even, it should be equal. I'll give you an example. There was a girl that I took out on a date pretty recently. I didn't mind paying, like, you know, it was like our first date. We wound up going out and I pretty much paid for the entire thing. I really didn't have any issue with paying. And you know, because the other thing too is I guess I was the person that initiated everything, so it was like me asking her out, and I was like, okay, you know, so I planned everything and then I took her out on a date and I paid for everything. I do kind of believe that, like, if you're like the person that kind of initiates it and you're the person who's like, let me take you out, then yeah, in that case you are asking that person out, therefore you should pay. But if you're gonna go on consistent dates, I really feel like it should be a 50-50 type of split. And I was thoroughly impressed because the girl, the next date that we went out on, she like was more than willing to pay. She like kind of planned the whole thing too. She goes, look, this is what we're gonna do. Let's go and do this, like this date and time and blah, blah, blah. Here's the place, just meet me there and let's go and have fun. And then she pretty much took care of all the expenses for the entire day and we had a great time. So I was thoroughly impressed, and honestly, like me, I really enjoyed that. Like I thought it was great. I was like, okay, here's somebody who doesn't mind being my equal in the sense that, like, not that she's beneath me by any means, but she doesn't necessarily see me as being beneath her. Kind of like, well, he's the guy, he's got to pay, he's got to do all these other things. And honestly, I like that. That just showed me that she wanted an equal relationship. And you know, I know the backlash that maybe this video might get in a little while. A lot of girls might sit there and say, oh, well, you know what, a real man will go ahead and he'll pay for me because it's chivalrous, it's this, it's that, it's this. Like, a real man's gonna wanna pay, a real man's gonna wanna show me how to, you know, that he cares and that he'll pay and he'll do all these other things. A real man's gonna wanna go above and beyond and do blah, 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 and all this other stuff and everything like that, you know. Honestly, at the same time, like, you know, okay, fine, you can think that, that's perfectly fine and dandy. Like, if that's really the way that you feel, I'm not gonna tell you that the way you feel is absolutely wrong or that it's just like no good, if you will. I guess my question to you would be, shouldn't the girl then do the same thing if he does it? Like, it's okay maybe that he does it first, but then shouldn't the girl go and do the same thing? Like, isn't a relationship a give and take? Isn't it supposed to be a 50-50 thing? It's not all about one person. It shouldn't be a one-way street. I mean, right? Or is that something that I've been missing my entire life? Because I've always viewed a relationship, any relationship, not just like girls and like, you know, like love and whatever, marriage and all those other things. Like, a relationship's always supposed to be a two-way street, not a one-way street. So if you want him to go above and beyond for you, shouldn't you go above and beyond for him as well? I don't know, that's just kind of common sense to me, but I don't know, I feel like despite it being 2019, public opinion is still, well, the guy has to go above and beyond and the girl does not, which to me, like, I just don't understand that. I really don't. But the other thing too, though, is if you ask a guy out, it's a good way to test his masculinity. And here's how. I guess the way you would test something like this, to me, in my opinion, a guy who doesn't mind you paying for him and he doesn't mind, he's not offended and he's not threatened in any way by you paying for him or you asking him out, is a guy, in my opinion, that is very secure in his masculinity. And he also respects women. Now, you might be sitting there and thinking to yourself, I don't really get it. What exactly do you mean? Maybe you're just totally confused or maybe you just disagree. But here's my opinion. It shows that he's secure in his masculinity because the traditional masculine thing to do is for the guy to get up, get out there, be the go-getter, and ask the girl out, have the balls to ask the girl out on a date and everything, you know, and have the balls to go just like pursue her and go after her and whatnot, if you will. But if he is perfectly fine with you asking him and you paying for him, then that just, to me, shows that he's not weak. His masculinity hasn't been damaged in any way because you took on the role of going after him. First of all, like, I think, you know, any reasonable guy would be very complimented by it. The other thing too is it shows that he's secure in his masculinity. Like, you know, he's not threatened by you. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a really good, a very strong masculine man, then why would you be threatened by a good-looking feminine woman? You know what I mean? Like, if you're a very strong guy in any sense, like whether it's physically or, you know, mentally as a person, if you're really that tough, then you should never be threatened by a woman in any way, whether it's physical, career-wise. Honestly, you should always be there rooting for them. And I mean, let's face it, I think we can all agree, if you're a man and you're truly threatened by whatever a girl is doing, whether it's career-wise or physically, then that just shows that your masculinity, in my opinion, is not quite up to par, or it's not quite in check. I feel like everybody says nowadays that the man's supposed to be, you know, or still thinks that the man's supposed to be the leader in the relationship. And honestly, it's like, no, like, that's not the way it should be. Like, you know, the man is not solely supposed to lead. Neither is the woman. She's not solely supposed to lead. You're supposed to be a team. You work together and you get through things, you know, you face hardships together, and you know, one person doesn't rule the other person by any means at all, and nor should like one person solely do like all the work either. Like it's a give and take, like you work together, you work on things. If you're having hard times, you work through it. You know, the girls, in my opinion, really limit their scope in some ways. And whereas men don't. Men are just out there, and men will go and they'll just like, they're scoping everything out. In my opinion, if girls did more of the asking out, if they did more of the making the first move, then they could basically cover more ground. They could get out there, they could see what they like and what they don't like. If girls just took more of the initiative, because girls can get guys much more easily than guys can get girls. If girls took the initiative, they would have, in my opinion, they would have so many more opportunities to date and then find out what they like and what they don't like. So a girl, a really hot girl, doesn't even have to be a hot girl or whatever, honestly. Like, you know, she could go and she could, you know, just proactively, she could go out there and go, oh, like, I like him, he's cute, like, I see what he's wearing, or maybe like, oh, he's interested in this, or I see he really likes dog, he's a dog taking care of other or something, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of like that. And then she just approaches him like, oh, like, hey, like, you take care of dogs, like, you know, I guess like you kind of help support animals at the animal shelter or something. And he's like, yeah, sure. Like, you know, like if girls just were out there and maybe did a little bit more, they could cover so much more ground, and they could literally just throw such a huge net. You are basically going to broaden the spectrum of opportunity if you just went out there, or sorry, like if girls just went out there and they took the initiative on all these things. Like I feel like we would have more relationships. Women, honestly, the woman initiative in this regard is the answer to everything, probably. In the year 2019, honest, like 2020, whatever, like it always has been. Like the woman initiative is the answer. It always has been since the dawn of time, honestly. Like, you know, how long have humans been around? Like a few million years, honestly. Like, it's like, come on, like, let's get with it after a few million years. But anyway, there's this notion that, like, you know, a lot of people, they push this thing where it's like, well, guys still have to do this. They have to do this, that, and the third to prove themselves to the girl, or they gotta do this, they gotta do that, all for the girl and everything like that. But the girl doesn't have to do anything for the guy. Like, it's just expected that the girl just sits there and she doesn't really have to do anything, which honestly, I've never been a believer in. I've never agreed with that. I mean, you know, the women in my family have always taught me, you know, don't ever accept something like that. A girl who wants to treat a relationship as a one-way street, and you know, you're doing all the work, you're the one who's constantly having to climb uphill, and she expects to kind of look down on you, is not really a girl that you want to date. We're still stuck in the old traditional ways, but only for one particular side. So it's like, men are still expected to go above and beyond and do all these traditional things for girls, but the girls don't necessarily have to do the traditional things anymore, which is stay at home, take care of the kids, cook dinner, strictly be in the kitchen all day, clean the house. It's like, no, girls are out there, you know, they're going and they're doing all these great things, which like I think it's great. Like I'm the biggest proponent of it, but it's like, it's not okay for a guy not to be chivalrous per se, you know what I mean? Or it's not okay for a guy to not want to do the traditional things for a girl and whatnot. So I just feel like it's just it has just become so completely one-sided anymore, and to me it's just not right. It's just kind of like, you know, like, and if that's how you are, that's fine, you can be that way. Like, it's not for me to sit here and judge and say that like what you like or what you want is completely wrong, you shouldn't be that way at all. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just explaining like me, myself, my own personal opinion, and the opinion of a lot of guys nowadays, honestly. Like a lot of guys, it's no longer like, oh, I just want a girl that's just gonna like, you know, sit and like do nothing while I do all the work and everything like that. And I do this like a lot of guys. I've seen so many relationships end because the guy puts forth such a huge and such a massive effort, and the girl doesn't want to do anything. And I mean, honestly, like I had an experience, I've had experiences like that before, I should say, you know what I mean? Like I definitely have. I know that was kind of long, but that's just me, that's just my 2 cents. So yeah, honestly, I mean, should girls ask guys out? I think so, why not? Not saying it needs to happen all the time, but you know, I think it should happen more so than it does happen today. It's just my 2 cents. So leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your experiences have been. And I mean, I would love to talk with you about it, debate with you about it, whatever it is. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. So thanks for everything. Bye-bye.